not a beer, actually. It's some kind of apple juice or something. I'm here in Norway right before the gig, and just decided to do an impromptu live Q&A session. I try to do this when I can, when I get a good connection online here. And hello there. I'm just gonna play for a second, let a few people come in. I already got a few questions, but I had a question actually earlier today. Hopefully some of you will type in questions now. The live clips have been awesome. Thanks very much. I try to do this when I can. I don't always have a good connection when I'm on the road. We've been in Norway for a couple weeks, and some days we're in a van for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. Other days we're in a hotel and we got to run the sound check and there's no time to do anything. But here I am. I did have a question earlier about, someone was asking me, what do I do to warm up for a gig, and what do I do for before the gig, or just on the road? What kind of practice do I do? It really depends. I get a lot of my practice. I've had a lot of my practice for the past many years. I don't really warm up before a gig. But what I've done over the years, aside from learning my instrument well and really knowing how to think musically and how to express myself musically and how to work the instrument, I am constantly practicing in my head. I'm constantly making music, running through ideas in my head musically, because I know how to do these things and mimic all these things and express and say all these things musically that I want on the instrument already. I'm just constantly going through ideas in my head all the time. Sometimes I don't even want to, and I have the ideas going, and I'm just making up stuff in my head. It's also been proven that doing these things mentally in your head does help and does pay off and does make a huge difference. But that obviously comes years after really learning the instrument and learning how to not only play the instrument well and know how to play music well, but also knowing how to translate what I want to express into something musically and get it out there to the listener. Hey, how's it going, Wisconsin? Yeah, but people ask me, do I do anything specific to warm up before a gig? Not so much, I just make sure I try to meditate if I could before the gig and clear my head. But that's really it, I've warmed up already for so many years, and I don't break in my harps before the gig, or I don't have to break in my harps, so I get just brand new harps. The weather's great in Norway. It's been a little cold and rainy, but it's still very nice, and the people are very nice. Any chance of coming across the pond? I really hope so. I've had a lot of people ask me that. I know I have friends there and fans there. We'd love to come over there. If we get the offers, if we can bring the band there, then we will be there. Favorite horn players to listen to for inspiration for my harmonica playing? Well, there were a lot of blues, rhythm and blues, swing, jazz, rock and roll sax players, especially tenor sax players, over the years that are good to listen to, that somewhat, for the most part, translate to the harmonica. Lester Young is my favorite. He's my favorite musician of all time, aside from Pee Wee Russell, the clarinet player. All of his stuff, though, would not necessarily easily translate to harmonica, but there's a lot of it that could, if you know how to play well, and you know scales, and you can play by ear, and and some ear training to figure some of these things out. So think about that. But as far as other more straight-ahead rhythm and blues players, guys like Willis Jackson, Red Prysock, even in more straight-ahead basic guys, the blues honkers like Joe Houston and guys like that. Tab Smith, who was an alto player and even played with Count Basie's band for a while. They led better. Tab Smith arranged and played a lot of stuff with Basie for a while. Went and had a string of hits on the United label, and I think there's 3 or 4 CDs that have all been reissued on the Delmark label. And his stuff, and he played alto mainly, but his stuff translates well to harp. In fact, he had a song called Jump Time, which is what I named my band after for years. So that kind of stuff, look for those kind of guys. And there's other more traditional bluesy jazz players like Gene Ammons, and I mentioned Willis Jackson, Arnett Cobb, Illinois Jacquet. They're definitely considered jazz players, but they're more traditional jazz players. There's a lot of blues and feeling and soul in their playing. So those are good guys to check out. As far as guys that I've listened to, those are some of the names that really stand out a lot for me as well. I don't know, I'm not seeing all these questions because I'm yapping here. But yeah, I think I've got all the ones so far. But going back to warming up for the gig, I like to clear my head. Another question I get also, that I've gotten recently too, and I didn't get the answer the last time, was, do you have things prepared? Oh, favorite William Clark recording. Okay, that's cool. Do I have things prepared to play mentally, or do I have solos planned out? Everything I play is improvised. I feel that's the beauty of this music. You want to learn your craft, learn your instrument, but the beauty of this kind of music is you're expressing yourself, and you're in the moment. You're sharing that emotional thing there with the audience, with the band members. It's an energetic. Not an energetic thing, it could be, but it's an energy thing. You're exchanging that energy and those feelings, and you're just letting it out there and sharing it with everybody who's there. And you got to be true to how you feel, and that's the beauty of this, I think. That's when I've really been moved by other players, and even when I'm on the bandstand myself, when those feelings are coming out and you're just connecting with that, and the people are right there with you. So I like to clear my head. I meditate. Usually, I didn't meditate today. I actually took a little nap because I've been lacking some sleep lately. But I meditate a lot anyway. I meditate every day. But I try to do it before a gig as well. Just clear my head. You want to clear your head, be in the moment. The worst thing to do, I think, is to think on the bandstand. You want to think when you're practicing on the bandstand. You don't want to think. You want to just perform and play and express and do your thing. But when you practice, you do want to think through new things and build new habits and create better habits and all those things. So there's a few things to think about there. No pun intended. Okay, somebody mentioned William Clark recording, chromatic harmonica for beginner. Ever get tired of being on the road? Yes, I do get tired of being on the road. This trip is a little long for me, actually. We get time off. And through the winter, there's a lot more time off than normal. So William Clark, I like all his records. Tip of the Top is a great record. All his Alligator records are great. But Tip of the Top, which was before he was on Alligator, was one of my favorites for a long time. That's when he did the original version of Blowing the Family Jewels and stuff like that. Just really cool stuff. You can't go wrong with any of his records, really. But I think Tip of the Top and maybe even Blowing Like Hell may be my 2 favorites from William Clark. Chromatic model for beginners or new players trying to play or trying to learn chromatic, I should say. Just go with the basic model 270 from Hohner. It's the standard 12-hole chromatic harp. Comes in many different keys. Get the key of C, which is the most common key, and a lot of times the blues guys will play it in the key of D on the C harp in 3rd position. That's the most common, and I would recommend that. I play Hohners strictly, and it's just my thing. I love them. I've been playing them since day one, and it's just, to me, there's nothing like the Hohners. The sound and the response, and especially the tone of the Hohners. Am I coming back to Massachusetts? Well, I'm not sure. We got a few East Coast things, I believe, later in the fall, but I'm not sure if we're coming back to Massachusetts this year or not. William Clark, definitely one of the best, my favorites. Yes, Tip of the Top was the name of that album, was one of his albums before he was on Alligator. It's definitely one of my favorites. And his first Alligator album, Blowing Like Hell, which was the first William Clark album I ever heard, just kind of blew me away. So definitely those. If you don't have those and you like William Clark and you like this kind of music, check them out. Any tips for holding bent notes and keeping them in tune? Well, Yeah, practice. In one word, practice. It's a learned skill. That's something you want to practice and work at getting better at. Okay? So sit there with a tuner, not with your ear and not just with a piano or any other kind of thing like that, with a good tuner and hold the bent notes. And I hope to see my band again soon. Yeah, things have been going great with the Nick Moss band, and we've been on the road a lot. We will be coming back to the East Coast, though, soon. I know that. Positions. Why do I choose to switch positions during a song? All right. Well, sometimes I do that. Thanks, Jeff, by the way, and hi, Alan. Why do I choose positions during a solo if I do? Or why do I even choose? Another question I got last time after my session was, why may I choose a particular position for a song? Most times, 9 times out of 10, it's just because I want to. The most common positions for me, obviously, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Sometimes I'll do 12th. Sometimes I'll do 5th. On chromatic is usually 3rd or 10th. But it's really just what mood I'm in and what I feel is gonna be able to get what I want and what I want to express in that moment through that song the best. And really, each player should be able to choose that. And for a long time, unless you're constantly practicing 24/7 all the time, that's mainly going to be probably second position for a while until you really are more familiar with some of the other positions. And I hear people saying a pet peeve of mine is using third position for minor or using first position for something major. There are reasons to do that, but no positions like that. Third position does not have all minor keys and scales built in. There are major notes there, and there are bendable, bluesy, and minor notes in first position as well. So you want to know your instrument and know your scales. The best position to choose is a position that you know how to milk for whatever situation you're in at the moment, and you're going to be able to use to express yourself the best in that moment. Hi to Brazil. How's it going? Favorite avocado toast in the world. Favorite avocado toast is the one I make at home with Xanthia, and it's just usually I make my own avocado toast usually with some bacon bacon, and sometimes I'll put an egg on there, maybe some truffle oil, but we don't need to get into that. That's a whole different thing. So hi to New York again. Hi, Alan. Hopefully a few more questions will come in. I'm not sure if I saw all these. Oh, somebody's tuning in from Cornwall. Check that out. I always love the name of that town. All right. Any more questions? Or I actually have to walk over to the club in a few moments. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate that. I try to post these online when I can. I try to post more of these to my YouTube channel when I can. Been trying to update the new website as well, put new merchandise, put new Q&As up there, put new Blues Harmonica history pages up there as well. If you haven't checked that out, go check that stuff out. How many pairs of boots do I have on this trip? Thanks, Ledbetter. Ironically, I really try to do well this trip. Only have 4 pairs of boots with me. And I try to, a little helpful tip for those traveling musicians who like to perform in style, is to coordinate your wardrobe with only a couple patterns, so you don't need to take along 6 or 7 pairs of boots. I only have 4 with me this time. So, you got it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm going to I got to make this a quick one because I have a gig to go to right next door. But I'll be doing more of this soon. I'll be doing some more jamming soon. Check out the website. Keep shooting me the messages and the questions, and I'll get to them sooner or later online.